And we're getting a picture on the TV. I'm going to step off the limb now. That's one small step for man, giant leap for mankind.
Okay, I'm going to count to 5 in my head and then introduce you, okay?
Okay.
Hey everyone, I'm Dana Blickensderfer and welcome to JadaTV. Today we have a special guest, Sarah King, with us. I just want to read her statement to start us off today. Say hi to Sarah, everyone.
Hi.
It's a pleasure to have you, Sarah. So I just want to read your statement before I kind of give them a backstory on how we know each other. But, okay. Motherhood has been both the greatest transition and the biggest challenge I have ever faced. My entire identity, day-to-day life, and art has all gone through an incredible transformation. I believe that there are many misconceptions about motherhood. Pregnancy, for example, was not my favorite physiology, yet I am blasted with idealized images of it, both historically and in contemporary media. I wanted my work to document both the beauty and the challenges faced by me and mothers. These moments are often unspoken and undocumented, and yet they are what we encounter as mothers daily. Going to the bathroom, bathing, sleeping or not, our relationship with our partner are all important daily challenges we face. Recently, with the ongoing pandemic, motherhood has magnified my feelings of love, joy, anxiety, fear, guilt, claustrophobia, and isolation. Navigating this experience while parenting has brought an added intensity to these pieces. With the birth of my second child in the spring of 2019, I felt as if I had come out of the haze of new parenthood. I had just started sleeping through the night, and I felt a sense of regained freedom that comes as babies age. Then COVID-19 hit, and all the postpartum feelings I had experienced returned and were amplified through this new pandemic lens. This body of work is a result of my reckoning with this lens as I deal with my new life postpartum, all while parenting through COVID. Wow, that's heavy. That's so yeah, and this is a special episode because not only is Sarah, I met her at the New York Studio School, and that's like a family there. Going through the New York Studio School, you have a bond that's unbreakable. So I had the honor of meeting her through that time while I was there, and she was there as well, getting her MFA. So that was exciting time, 2015-16, I believe.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and then today is even more special and important because it's actually Mother's Day. So I thought it was so cool to make this amplify this discussion on motherhood, parenting, and being an artist. The stereotypes, the challenges, the joys. Let's talk about it, because I think this is an important platform to discuss. So, Sarah, thank you for being here.
Hi. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your story and how you, like, from your statement, like where you are today, and then we'll start looking at some of your work.
Yeah, so I graduated from the studio school and I started painting. And while I was actually in the studio school, I had a number of encounters where I was talking about being a mother and wanting to be a mother at that point, and wanting to have kids and wanting to learn how to juggle that. And I had both some great advice and some terrible judgment placed on it. And basically the takeaway that I think a lot of mother artists hear is that you can't possibly be a mom and an artist, or it's impossible to juggle both, or that it's such a challenge and you always feel like you're giving something up, or you're sacrificing one for the other. So I had internalized that, and I just thought that, there had to be another way to navigate that. And there had been other women artists in my life that I'd come across that I saw them doing that. Lenka Kirkin is one of the ones that was another MFA sculpture student, and she was a mother and an artist, and she was really making it. And she had given me a lot of really great advice on how to approach your work and creativity like you would a mother. And it really struck a chord with me.
That's
and Elisa
interesting.
Jensen. Yeah. And Elisa Jensen also was a really amazing painter and mother. And I could name a bunch. And I just thought, well, I want to be like those women. I want to model my own practice after them.
Yeah.
And what they had done.
Yeah. So. And sometimes you notice as you're older, in our 30s, that as you're having children, making those decisions in life, there's also gaps in time, right? Where you also notice that, but that's interesting to talk about too, because some people pause, and they choose to pause maybe until they're 10, 15, but then there's others that are doing it while in newborn stage. And I think that's an interesting conversation that is okay. It's okay to love yourself and go through those, not put time pressure on yourself, but I think that's extraordinary that you're painting through those to show the story and the narrative of the challenges of motherhood.
Yeah, and my language has always been art, so I've always expressed my feelings and and I've worked things out through my creative process. So doing my work postpartum was one of the ways I could kind of organize my brain and think about what motherhood meant to me, and kind of paint it out and work it out. And I started doing that through my pregnancy, and I've just continued on.
Wow.
So it's been my way.
I'm going to share my screen because I think it's time to show some work, right? Okay, so you can see my screen, right?
I can.
Okay. So I wanted to show this because I think during last summer, going into COVID, so COVID hit, and then we had the virtual show. Is this the piece that won with the school?
It's not actually. It's a similar piece.
It's a similar composition. Okay. So
it's definitely a similar. I kept going back to this moment in time in my life where I was dealing with labor, and I was so uncomfortable, and everybody was telling me how beautiful it was and how wonderful it was and how well I looked and all of these things, and I felt like shit.
Yeah.
I was just tired, and I could feel the baby, and it was all of the anticipation of what it meant to be in this transition. And this piece is called Prodromal Labor Week 3, Part 1, and it's basically I had been in prodromal labor for 3 weeks, which is just basically Braxton Hicks and more intensified.
Yeah.
But it's more intensified. So you were like, okay, am I going into labor? Is this my moment? Is this happening? And this position was one I found myself in multiple times, and I feel like it's not really what we see when we're shown images of pregnancy. We're shown like beautiful pregnant women in a field, or you know, like these moments in a beautiful bedroom. And I was in my, you know, my tiny tub, and I was just laboring and
in pain.
I wanted to document that. I felt that it was important, and I was so fascinated by all of the different stages and places and ways that my body changed weekly and daily, and I just needed to paint that. That's what I did.
So 2 questions about this. Was this the first child or second boy?
This was my second. This is my second baby.
Okay.
Yeah. So
and
this one was.
And I'm curious, did you do time lapses, just so you can, or did you take still images? Because that would be interesting to push that matter further. I know it's vulnerable with the body, but it's also a very intimate moment to create work from.
So I took a lot of photos, and I also, the time lapses I did were more of my belly moving with the baby in them.
Oh,
and so I have a lot of videos of that and a lot of videos of me nursing. And then I would take photos of me in the tub, and I would have my husband take photos of me. I would just take the photo. Are you sure? It's like 2 a.m. And I'm like, just take it, you know?
Yeah, so, I need this. No, that's beautiful. I wonder, are you going to do anything with the videos, or are you kind of concepting?
I have them stored, and what I do is if I'm painting a breastfeeding painting, sometimes I'll still watch the videos, and I'll be like, and you can hear specific sounds or specific ways that the baby was, you know, like eating, and you're just like, yes, I remember this moment, and it kind of like flips my brain back into that moment, so I'm able to paint from that space again and remind myself.
So that's really cool. It's a trigger. Just like you know, as we keep going, just like when you mentioned, you know, starting to go through COVID-19 as a mother triggered postpartum again, and that's something I think is interesting to discuss also.
Yes, it's so hard. It's like when you first have a baby, you know, either the first or the second, but by the time you have your second, you're kind of like, okay, I've done this. I can, you know, I know the steps, but with postpartum, it was so hard because you couldn't go anywhere. I had the baby constantly strapped to my chest. You know, I was trying to do things with my toddler at the time. I was potty training him. I was doing all of these things, and we felt really trapped in the house, and we couldn't go see a lot of people because you don't want the baby to be around a lot of germs. And so all of these things, and you feel like you're confined to this space, and so we had just gotten through that. The baby was just, you know, starting to walk, and we were just able to sleep, just able to be out for like a few more hours, to go to the playground. And then COVID hit, and it was just all of that feeling again, because you felt trapped in the house, and you felt like you had to protect the baby from all the germs, and there was all of this unknown and uncertainty that you often find yourself in pregnancy, and it's a lot, and new motherhood, and so it just put me right back into that cycle where I had to, you know, find my way through.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people were triggered, obviously, through COVID, and still finding their way through 2021, even though, you know, there's the hope of vaccinations. You know, as you know, because we had to reschedule, I had my shot, but I'm fully vaccinated. I think you are fully vaccinated too.
I am too. Yes, so, I was able to get vaccinated earlier.
So the hope is there, but it's still the depression, the mental awakening of trying to get through the stagnation of the new normal.
Yeah. It's been a very intense experience to not only be a mother through, but also to be a painter through. So that's something I wanted to talk about too. But on a joyful note, I wanted to show this, because this is usually this is crazy because of the vibrancy of the colors of the bathroom, and just the
intimate moment. I feel joy, right? I felt a
Yes.
joyous moment here. So I'll let you express yourself through this painting.
Well, it's so funny because I've found myself, just, you'll see a lot of this through my paintings, is that I've been kind of drawn to the bathroom as a specific space.
Yeah.
All of these things happen in the bathroom that we kind of like, it's like, was my space of retreat during COVID. It was my, and like in general, when you just need a minute.
Moment. Yeah.
And then often, like, when you have a toddler, you know, you have to keep the door open. They're always there. It's a lot. So that's where my feeling of claustrophobia came from. It's just like this intense, like intimate togetherness. And it's a space where I was laboring. It was a space where, you know, I bathe my kids every day. So it's become a real character in my paintings. But this painting in particular, you know, you know, I was in it. It was, you know, my son was with me in the bathroom because I had to pee, and like, I thought I might be pregnant, and I realized I was pregnant, and he shared this moment of finding out, you know, that he was going to be Big Brother. Aww. And I was going to be a mother again, and all of those feelings of joy and excitement, but also pure panic of just having gone through all of this once, and realizing, like, you know, my kids are only 23 months apart. So, you know, at this time, it was just, he was within his first year of life, and we were just, you know, we've just gotten through like the newborn stage and everything, and all of a sudden we're here again. So it was a really specific moment in time, and so that's where this painting came from.
It's very exciting. I love the brush strokes and the light that you've in this composition. It's beautiful.
Thank you. And I think it's a funny thing because we are often looking at our knees, and as moms, I'm constantly like, this is a definite motif for me in my paintings, and I just think it's hilarious.
Oh, the knees, yeah,
of me sitting like on the body, because like we always talk about it. All moms are like, we just want to pee by ourselves. We just want to, you know, that's like a big milestone for us. And I just like, well, why don't we paint it? You know, why is that? You know,
why does it have to be so shut off from the world?
Yeah, it's just, it is what it is, you know, and I think moms can relate to it. So.
That's awesome. What about this one? I love this one. There's so much going on here. You've got the boy, the toddler, newborn, and you, and all of the stuff, and the crazy
cat.
The cat comes in, and the last thing I see, but I see it, and it's like a jumble of busyness.
My COVID cat, you know, it's also a very specific moment in time where we're, one, because it's like, you know, we have the COVID cat now. We found him in the bush and took him home in the first part of COVID. But so this painting is something that is, it's a constant daily memory for me at this point, and experience for me. And I wanted to capture it because I felt like it was just a quieter moment, but also one that we are reminded of daily through our, you know, just connection. And it was another way to show how the bathroom, how we use it as a place to connect. It's hard to tell, but they're playing kind of tea party in this painting, and they're looking at each other, and they're interacting with each other. And I'm kind of an observer of all of the chaos and all of the intimacy of the moment. So, and the painting is called "Please Don't Drown the Cat."
Does it?
Because the cat is constantly.
Did the cat come did it make it into the water ever?
It almost does, yeah. Many a time he's been very close, where the kids have almost pulled him in. So there's that moment of, oh my God.
Yeah. And I love the brush strokes, and the jumpiness of the movement is accurate with the activity. So I think you nailed down the craziness of a night as a mother and an artist with a cat during COVID.
And I will say that a lot of my reactiveness and my brush strokes and my paint is totally tied to being a mom, because I am often painting in a hurry, or I never know when my time is going to stop when I'm in the studio, because I never know when the kids are going to wake up or when somebody's going to need something. So I have to get my feelings and my ideas down as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And so often that's used with a palette knife or with a very large brush, and I just have to jump into it. And I don't really have the luxury of painting,
it's working for you
tiny
really well.
moments.
Yeah.
So I try to be as aggressive with my painting as possible.
Like the certainty,
due to my time restraints. So
are you using, for moms that are probably learning and maybe wanting to paint, are you using, what safety precautions are you taking as far as chemicals in your studio?
Well, I have pretty good ventilation in my studio. I have a window that I keep open.
Okay.
But I also use acrylic.
Okay.
Because I need it to dry quickly. And I need it to be, not so smelly like an oil paint is. I know that acrylic, you have to use it in a well ventilated area, but for me it works the best for what my needs are, and I am also able to change the paintings more quickly, so it works in my favor in terms of time management.
Now this one is gorgeous. It's vulnerable. I love the facial expression. You're just having your time. You have like your 5 minutes. Yeah. This is
it's one of my newer paintings, and it's a powerful one for me because it talks about being a mother in terms of you need that quiet moment of time to reflect, and it's often in the bathtub for me. It's one of the places I retreat to, but it's also it's hard to, unless you're really looking, I have a wrap on my arm.
I see it.
And that's actually from where I had just received a birth control implant. And so it was my moment to reflect on how I was done with, having children at this time of my life. I had made that conscious decision, and I had to keep my bandage dry. And so it's really a layered painting for me, psychologically and physically. So
it's beautiful. And is it finished, or are you in progress with it? Because
it feels finished to me.
It feels complete. Like, I love the unfinished moment of the tile with the built up moments of the the tub. What's this called? The bath.
The shower curtain.
Thank you. And the built up moment in the facial expression. It's beautiful. No, this is great.
Thank
Sarah.
you. Yeah, I feel it's complete. I want to remind people that it's a painting and not a photograph, so I try to keep it very painterly and loose, and just, once I've said it, I want to step away from it and let it be. So
it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, I love this one because of the boys. And then we're going to show a couple pictures of you with the boys. So how is it being a mom with 2 boys?
I love it.
Yeah.
It's so awesome. Yeah, they're so cool. I paint all of these really emotional paintings about, a lot of self-reflection, and I don't want people to think that I'm sad or anything like that. It's so complex. But this painting is one of my favorite paintings. I call it the Acrobat Painting, and it's the boys just kind of playing around in their room, naked after a bath, and enjoying their bodies and the space that they are.
Yeah, are they like, do they entertain themselves at this point, or do you find there was a stage where you had to have 2 activities for a newborn, but do you find them now coming together more?
Yeah, so I'm really lucky because they're really tight. They love playing together, and they love when they're in the studio with me, they're usually pretty good. And my studio is just next to my living room. It's like I can stick my hand into my living room. So they can be playing now, and it's a little bit easier, but they've always been really good at entertaining themselves. Recently, my 4-year-old wanted to have a movie day, and I said, do you want me to watch the movie with you? And he said, no, Mom, we're good. So we're getting to that point where it's getting.
And then you have those moments of sadness, like, oh no, you're growing up, and then joy because you have a minute.
It's funny. I don't feel too sad about them growing up because I don't know how much of a baby person I am versus a toddler person, and I really love them being able to tell me what they want and what they need.
You're enjoying
and
this phase, yeah.
I really love it, and
good.
especially as they're aging, it's just getting more and more fun.
Yeah, it's tough when obviously when they're babies. You know, I can't speak on behalf, but I did get a puppy during COVID, and I had some situations where he was attacked by a pit bull. Long story. I went to the hospital, but there was that phase where like they were in pain, their face, they were so sad. Like, I don't know what you're not talking to me. So that newborn phase where they're truly reliant upon you making the call is so difficult.
It is.
But it happens every day. Women do it all the time. So it's like
they do.
Yeah.
It's a lot of that, and there's that, and then there's that expectation of mothers that they know what to do. They're a newborn, you're a mom, you have those maternal instincts or whatever, but you as a new mom, regardless of how you've given birth, you're also recovering from that birth. Like you've also, and your body hormonally is going through so much intense change that you're trying to balance that out with having a newborn who constantly needs everything from you, because I nursed both my kids. So my husband was super helpful, but he couldn't he couldn't nurse the baby,
it's relying upon
I couldn't, and I couldn't pump because of some physical things that I had for me with overproduction. So I was really conscious of that. So I was just nursing,
there comes to
really
a
intense
point where it seems to, rely on the mother's, source of life.
Exactly.
You're the source of life,
And now they're just discovering everything on their own, and you kind of have to just hold your breath a little bit and just, all right,
let them go for it.
This. Especially with the second one, they seem to be, mine at least seems to be way more bold because he wants to just keep up with his brother.
The older, and he wants to like do daring things, and you're like catching your breath because he's not there yet.
It's I don't stop him. I just
let them discover. I mean, we're alive today. We
exactly.
did it. So
exactly.
So I wanted to show a couple of images of you with your boy. So Sarah, during COVID, it's part of being we feel a metamodern artist is being a digital artist. Like millennials use social media as a way to communicate and an outlet to engage and connect and basically, have a community online, right? So I think it's so cool during COVID you use social media as a way to show you living in your studio and then showing us like your daily life with your boys painting and like being artists, and they're really good.
They are.
I was like, wow, that's a good painting. So you let them paint horses with you and make marks. That requires so much patience and so much discipline to show them, like, don't just throw that over here, like, look and search and make a mark. But so how is that?
Oh, it's fun. I also, so for me, like I'm not super crafty. So I'm like, we're either going to paint or I don't know what to do with it. So, and they really want to be in the studio, and they really like watching and learning, and the physicality of making a paint, I think is really great for them. So we just started working in the studio, and my older son had been working with me pretty constantly when he was like 6 months on. Like he would just like play with charcoal and let it go, and I'd, whatever. And then the younger one has started to really get into art within the last, he just turned 2. So like the last year he's been really interested in it, and they just kind of took off with it. So we would paint, and then my mom actually commissioned me to do some drawings of horses, and my son Asher really wanted to do them with me, and then my son Harper was like, well, I want to do too. And so it became this project between the three of us, and it really blossomed, and I kind of used some of the techniques and tools I learned in the drawing marathons that we did with Graham, and applied them to my own children, and it worked really well, and we came out with these really cool horse drawings.
Did you make them do grids? Did you make them draw out grids? I'm just kidding.
Oh no. But I did do like erasing with the white paint, and then adding again with the Conte crown, and then the charcoal, and making marks, and creating kind of a palimpsest on the surface. And then my son Asher had made so much work, because he's like constantly drawing and painting, that in Stanford and in my community, we started doing art in the yard, which is art shows. And we would just throw our art in the yard, and we'd hang up and have little art shows.
Really?
That the walkers, that because COVID made everybody want to go for walks.
Yeah.
So they'd walk by my house, and sometimes they'd be like, "Is this, like a garage sale?
Yeah.
Are you selling all your art for cheap?" And I was like, "No, this is just an art show, so we can keep showing work." And it made my son so proud that his work was being seen, and
so cool.
It gave him a sense. Yeah. So it was really cool. So it was a fun project to do with my kids.
Did anyone try to, did they connect, like, oh, that's your son's work? And then they give him like I'm so proud of you, and he got all excited.
Yep.
That's so sweet. And I like this because this shows, even, during nap times, and you're always constantly, every day, you're a working artist in your studio. So through the naps and the jumping of the schedule, and every day is different. So
you just can't, you can't, put too much pressure on yourself. You just have to go with it. I think that's something I've really learned to do as a mother, is to not only have an immense amount of patience that I didn't know I was able to have, but to just kind of go with the flow and just say, okay, that's it. Yeah. That's fine. And then just come back to it later. And I think that shows my kids how to do that too. When they get frustrated with something, they can step back and say, okay, and then back up and, find something else, and then come back to whatever problem they're having, and apply it to their own situation. So, and
I really wanted to show this one too, because this is this newer painting. The vibrancy of the colors is kind of new for you, because from what I remember from the New York studio, you used a lot of muted, natural colors. So I love the new vibrancy that you're pulling from the curtain, because it shows this joyful vibrancy that's a newer use, I feel like, in your language. So I just wanted to say that I thought it was really exciting to see.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. I feel like when I was at school, I never knew what my voice was. I really loved the landscapes. I painted a lot of landscapes. I was afraid of the figure. Yeah. Which you because I was afraid of what it would tap into.
Yeah.
And now because I became a mother, I feel like I've really found my voice and my language and what I'm interested in, and it's so much more meaningful to me. Yeah. So I think the color reflects that.
Yeah. So I think you're onto something great. This transition and the process has been blossoming, and I'm enjoying seeing it.
Thank you. I'm really excited.
And then these are your youngest son in the studio.
That's Harper.
Yeah, it's Harper. So we have a few more slides left. I wanted to show this. I think this is 2021, the eggs conversation, because it's so unique and it's so bold and not controversial, but it makes you think. So for those that are watching, Sarah is a mother of 2 boys. She's continuously breaking the stereotype of, not being an artist. She's a working artist and a mother all at the same time. She's not breaking. She believes that you don't have to pick and choose. You can do both. You can do anything you want. Not to speak for her, but that's what I'm gathering. But I think it's cool too, because one of the images that we're going to show you, she said, it's cool because a lot of mothers have daily feedback, like advice, like your mom gives you advice and you're like, you should do this. And then you get contradictory advice. So it's fun because she's posting these images with, comments like, if you nurse the baby to sleep, he won't learn to sleep on his own. So it's like the daunting task of motherhood where you're getting a million things of advice and you're like, what's the truth? And you just have to trust your gut as a mother. So I wanted to talk about the eggs because that's what transitioned into the last images, which is your newest recent work.
Yeah, so the eggs are kind of funny. They came from a few different places and they've manifested into this new project I'm working on.
I think it's so cool. Yeah.
So it started as a joke where one of my really good friends was talking about how once you've nursed babies and how your breasts actually look is like two, sunny side up eggs that have been thrown against a wall and they're slowly sliding down.
Yeah.
And I thought that was such a funny image. And I eat two sunny side eggs every morning.
Yeah.
And so I started like tilting them and like realizing like, that's about right.
Yeah.
So it started kind of as an inside joke about breasts and how funny they are and how fluid they are and how they change and how they're just kind of, never in one place anymore. And this kind of feeling of that thin skin that's over top of them. So there's a lot to the little drawings I started doing. And I started with these drawings and then I moved them into paintings. And so that's really where the first genesis of that started. And then I always wanted to do Paisanki eggs with my kids for Easter. And so I was like, well, why don't I just make Paisanki eggs? And so I had a few, I did a few Paisanki eggs of some bellies of my pregnant belly. And I was really excited by that. And then I wanted to know, like, is the dyeing process, do I need to do the dyeing process? Is it serving my work? And then I came to these little paintings. And so I just started painting on the eggs. And then they became their own thing. And I really love the symbolism. There's obviously a lot of symbolism connected to fertility and the egg and this new being that's being created. And so there's already that beautiful symbolism that's kind of just because of the egg. And I was looking at William Bailey paintings and I'd just seen a lecture and he had all these perfect, beautiful eggs that he had made up and they were so pure. And I was like, well, I wanted to crack those eggs open, which is also kind of where the breast came from and these eggs. And then I was thinking about the eggshell and they started to become little thoughts and to morph into these thoughts of these little painting moments that I was painting and all of this advice that I was getting. And so I started to think about the quote, teach your grandmother to suck eggs. And it was just like, you're being given, advice on a topic you already know a lot about or you already been experiencing a lot about. So then it became the Suck Egg series.
Yeah, and this is so cool. It's so great because it's so true. Like suck eggs, really.
Yeah, suck eggs, and then I have just started to do these prototype casts of my hands. And I wanted to kind of give these eggs a little extra protection, a little extra force field, because I felt as if I was holding these moments very close to me and to my heart. And I wanted to protect them from the advice that was being given. So that's where
that's beautiful.
Master's coming through.
That's beautiful. There's so many dynamics and layers, and it's amazing because you're pushing, as you said, you found your narrative, you found your language, and it's you being a mother, being an artist, being present through the ups and downs. You're now pushing it even further to these concepts and these like the drawings of the eggs and then the paintings, and now morphing into this I'd consider it a sculpture.
Yeah, I think it's a sculpture for I mean
I
don't really know what they are.
It could be.
They are absolutely.
It could be whatever, but if we don't want to put anything into a box because you're still developing it. But it's really exciting. Like I think with the ironic grandma advice that we all get, because we're not impressionable, but we're you're a younger mom, you're 30s. still looking for advice because we're still walking uncharted territory, but then trusting our gut that we got this, we know what we're doing, follow our own voice. Yeah. It's a common discussion with all women.
Yes, and to kind of protect yourself and the baby and this new creation from the outside a little bit.
I think this is beautiful, and I was so excited to share with everyone, and thank you for being a part of this. I do want to ask a little advice. Well, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So for moms watching that are artists, you have like 3 things to tell us. Either we're deciding to be a mom, or like we're artists and we don't know. Like, we got any advice from your wisdom now that you've been through it?
Without, teaching anybody to suck eggs.
Yeah.
I would say that you have to be kind to yourself, and that art, for at least in my experience and my journey, is this lifelong vocation. So time, is not, you don't put yourself under the pressure cooker of trying to make a show within your first year of postpartum. Use it as just really be kind. If you can only make 1 mark that day, that's okay. Mm-hmm. Because I think that helps teach your kids to be patient and kind to themselves as well. And I would say that, at least in my experience, motherhood has only remade me and created me as an artist in a way that's more profound than I ever could have dreamed of. So becoming a mom is what I feel has made me, more of who I am as a creative in so many ways. And the last, I don't know if I have any other advice. I think that's, you can do it. You can absolutely do it. And you should just, follow your own instincts and let yourself play.
Yeah.
Let yourself play, and play like you do, and watch your kids play, because that's some of the best paintings I've made have been from play, and have been from allowing myself to use the materials and experience the materials with my kids, in a new way. So.
Yeah. Well, because it's Mother's Day, we want to honor you, Sarah, and thank you for being a great mother. And we know how hard and difficult it is, and thank you for using motherhood as a platform for conversation. It's opening up a lot of great conversations for other women and out there and that are artists or thinking about being artists, and doing both. So thank you so much. And I know as you push this work further through the good and the bad, through the pain and the joys, your work is very beautiful. It's the next level of where we're going, and we're excited to see more of it. So where can everyone follow you? You can follow me at Sarah King Paints on Instagram. Awesome.
And my website is sarahkingpaints.com.
Awesome. Well, we don't want to keep you anymore because we know you're going to be spoiled today on Mother's Day. But we thank you so much for your time, and happy Mother's Day, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll see you guys next week on JadaTV. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.